I told my drywall guy to stop bugging my babysitter. We had contractors at the house doing renovations on the main floor, and I was working from my basement office like usual. My daughter was upstairs with our babysitter Ashley, who we'd hired like 3 months ago through some app. She was 21 and honestly pretty quiet, but my daughter loved her. The drywall team showed up around 9 and I barely looked at them, just pointed them toward the living room and went back downstairs to deal with emails. Around 11, I went up to grab coffee and heard one of the workers talking to Ashley in the family room. Nothing weird at first, just asking how long she'd been babysitting and stuff. But then I came back up 20 minutes later for water, and he was still going. I could hear it from the kitchen. He was asking where she went to school. She said she didn't go anymore. He asked where she lived, and she said north of here. Then he asked which neighborhood specifically, and her voice got really flat when she said it was complicated. That's when I walked in and said, "Hey man, what is this, the census or something? She's trying to watch my kid here." I thought I said it pretty light, but the guy's face went hard real fast. He just stared at me for a second, then went back to the living room without saying anything. Ashley looked at the floor and didn't say thanks or anything. Just took my daughter into the playroom and closed the door. I figured maybe I embarrassed her, so I went back downstairs. Half an hour later, I heard yelling. I ran up and the drywall guy was standing in the doorway of the playroom, and Ashley was backed against the wall holding my daughter. She was shaking and saying, get out, please, just leave." I stepped between them and told him he needed to go right now. He looked at me like I wasn't even there and kept staring at Ashley. Then he said, "Ash, come on, don't be like this. We need to talk. You can't just ignore me forever." That's when it clicked. He wasn't some creep. He knew her. Ashley's voice cracked when she said, "I have a restraining order against you, Drew. You're not supposed to be within 500 feet of me." The guy, Drew, laughed and said, "Yeah, well, funny how that works when you keep hiding where you live." I pulled out my phone and called the cops. Told them someone was violating a restraining order and gave the address. Drew heard me and his whole face changed. He lunged forward and grabbed my phone right out of my hand and threw it across the room. It hit the wall and the screen completely shattered. Ashley screamed. Drew turned back to her and said, "You made me do this. You made me find you." His coworker ran in from the living room yelling, Whoa, man, calm down." Drew shoved him back into the hallway. I grabbed Drew's arm to pull him away from Ashley, and he swung around and punched me in the jaw. I went down hard. My ears were ringing and I tasted blood. Ashley was still screaming and my daughter was crying, and Drew was standing over me, breathing heavy. Then I heard the front door slam open. My neighbor Kent came running in. He's this big guy who does construction, and I guess he heard the screaming through the window. He grabbed Drew by the back of his shirt and literally dragged him out the front door onto the lawn. I got up and ran to Ashley. She was hyperventilating and couldn't let go of my daughter. I heard more yelling outside and then tires screeching. Kent came back in and said the guy took off in his truck, but he got the plate number. The cops showed up 4 minutes later because Kent had also called them when he heard the screaming. They put out an alert for Drew's truck, found him pulled over on the highway 20 minutes later trying to get to the state line. They arrested him right there. Turns out Drew had taken the subcontract job 4 days earlier after seeing our address on the work order. He'd recognized the street name from when Ashley mentioned the area months ago before she left him. He literally engineered the whole thing just to find her. Ashley's mom picked her up that same day. She didn't come back for her stuff until a week later, and I wasn't even home. My wife said she looked like she hadn't slept in days. Drew got 6 months for the restraining order violation plus assault charges from hitting me.